Tony Khan is apparently in the weeds with the AEW creative process. I don't know what the hell that actually means anymore because the AEW creative process is clearly a mess. But we're going to talk about that, plus ROH's TV deal, WWE 2K25 announcement, an announcement from a very special indie. Welcome back to the Angle Show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to kick things off with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. They have announced that they are coming back in Windsor at the St. Clair College, March 14th and March 15th. Now, obviously, we recently saw Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling make its return. We saw some talent from AEW and TNA there. But what's now even more interesting is, as of late, there's been reports that Scott D'Amore has been backstage at WWE, NXT, and of course AEW. So a lot of people are wondering if Scott D'Amore is either fishing for a job elsewhere, if he's just visiting friends, or is this a situation in which maybe Scott D'Amore is able to get WWE talent on the show at the same time that AEW talent are on the show. As of right now, we don't have any match announcements, but the first Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling event at St. Clair College was actually really awesome. It was a very good event, very good production, very good matches, star-studded roster. Obviously, a lot of people are curious as to what will be happening here at MLPW, but obviously, I'm very curious to see if WWE NXT will have any entryway into this event. And I think WWE should do that. WWE should be good to Scott D'Amore. Obviously, Scott was fired by TNA, and then he brought back and revived the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling brand. I think for Scott D'Amore in that situation, he kind of got the head start for TNA in that partnership with WWE. It would be nice to see WWE help them out. And again, you just get some really cool matchups that maybe you wouldn't be able to see because of the talent that are signed in all of these different places. Let's talk about WWE 2K25. Ladies and gentlemen, 2K has revealed the Deadman Edition, which is a special edition of the game, which is The Undertaker on the cover, which I do think this cover is pretty damn badass. But when it comes to WWE 2K25, nobody really knows exactly what's in the works here. There's been a lot of leaks and a lot of rumors, but nothing's really been confirmed. However, me personally, I am very curious to see what they end up doing with WWE 2K25. There's rumors of an open city type of thing, kind of like NBA 2K. There's talks of a better universe mode. Obviously, with Undertaker having the Deadman Edition, I think that's cool, but I am afraid that 2K might be recycling a lot of ideas here, and obviously, I have to wait and see what they end up doing. But me personally, I am curious to see what does happen next. I also want to point out with WWE 2K25, obviously in the past I've done some live streams and some coverage. Me personally, I don't know where I stand with the game this year. I don't know how excited I truly am for the game this year, which obviously makes it a little bit more difficult. But of course, it is something to keep in mind that it is coming. And whether it's a success or not, I don't know. And I don't want to speak too soon. But you guys know how I felt about 2K24. And that brings us to Ring of Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Jericho is talking publicly about Ring of Honor, the state of Ring of Honor, and the state of AEW. But he did an interview with Scott Fishman for TV Insider, and he says, I think the fact that Tony Khan put the title on me again is because Chris Jericho, as the Ring of Honor World Champion, streaming platforms might pay more attention to it. I know that Tony is working on that and actually has a couple of offers, but I'm not sure if those are the offers that he actually wants. I think he wants to try and expand those offers, and I'm 1,000% sure that he will continue to work to get a streaming deal because when he sets his mind on something, he usually makes it happen. He is fully invested in Ring of Honor and the product and the brand, and I have no doubt that there will be a bigger platform for Ring of Honor at some point. So this is obviously very interesting, considering that the rumor for a long time was that they were just specifically going for a TV deal. There was talks of a whole bunch of random smaller TV deals. Vice TV was a rumor that I've heard at one point. Listen, this is how I look at it. Ring of Honor should get a TV deal or should get a streaming deal. I want to know why Warner Bros. Discovery just doesn't give them some sort of deal. They have True TV. They have a variety of channels that Warner Bros. And Discovery obviously own. They have the Max streaming service, the Ring of Honor tape library. You know, I don't know why they didn't just throw a couple extra million for Ring of Honor, you know, to be on the Max streaming service. You know, I thought that was a very interesting thing because Ring of Honor is not a different property than AEW. People could try to act like it is, but it's not. And we know this. We know AEW and Ring of Honor, you know, it's Tony Khan. He owns both. We know that AEW talent have been shifted to Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor talented people have been shifted to AEW. This is a problem for me. Like, I think Ring of Honor is just like, I wanted to have a TV deal. I want it to be on TV. I wanted, you know, at least having some sort of deal. What kind of streaming deal are they going to get? I don't know. You know, I have no problem with them going on Tubi. It's a free streaming service. But whatever reason is, like, Tony Khan is either everybody's full of shit and Ring of Honor doesn't have a TV deal lined up, which I personally don't believe, or Ring of Honor is not getting a lucrative deal. But at the same time, too, I don't really expect it to get this massive lucrative deal because it's not at the stage where it necessarily deserves one. So we'll see what happens, obviously, but Ring of Honor at some point, new TV deal, something to definitely pay attention to, and I think we'll get that relatively soon. And that brings us to AEW. Tony Khan, obviously, you know, we've heard so many times that there's like 1 million people involved with the AEW creative process. We've heard of certain wrestlers having involvement in the creative process. Mercedes Moné and Jon Moxley were two that are most notable. Well, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select came out. He reported that those in AEW were understandably pumped for this past week's Collision. They feel that they did really well. And it was added that Tony Khan has said to be more in the weeds creatively as of late. Is he taking over AEW creative completely? Like, I want to know what this creative process is for AEW because I just simply don't understand at this stage, like, what is actually happening in this company. I wish I can understand on a grand scale, but, you know, the AEW creative process, it's been wonky for years, and I feel like Tony Khan being in the weeds may not be the solution. Maybe it is. I don't know. There seems to be so much talk of who's involved, and there's like 20 different people involved, and when you hear that kind of talk about the creative process, then yeah, obviously if Tony Khan has 1 million people in his ear, Tony Khan needs to shut that shit down and just take the lead and do what he wants. But if it comes out that Tony Khan is responsible for all of this shit and the Death Riders and this storyline that suck, then yeah, Tony Khan probably shouldn't be in the weeds. So, you know, at the end of the day, AEW's creative process is a very weird one. I don't understand it fully. I don't think a lot of people do. I think there's a lot of things that are being said about it that just simply don't make sense. So at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it real honest with you guys. Tony Khan needs to figure out whether he's the one who's actively all hands on deck, then maybe he needs to pass that creative to somebody else, or if Tony Khan has too many people in the kitchen trying to cook something, then Tony Khan needs to grab that. He needs to grab that pen and paper and take over completely, because at the end of the day, what we are seeing on AEW television is absolutely garbage. Collision was great, but just because you gave us one great episode of Collision doesn't necessarily mean that your company has been saved from the creative failure that we have seen throughout the last few years. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.